good to go.
Oh, okay. So this talk is about natural language processing. Is anyone familiar with it? No? A little bit? What do you know about it so far?
Oh, it's been a while. Just the ability, it's a different paradigm as far as how you handle things. So instead of doing syntax in a certain way, it's more logical flowing to the English speaker. That's the way I remember it.
Oh, okay.
Instead of having to learn the nuances of a language, so
Yeah.
the language has a very explicit syntax.
Yeah.
It's a different syntax. It's a little more logical for us as humans versus the computer itself.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that would be like a what do you call it? A controlled English.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So controlled English is one type of is one area of natural language processing. It's actually more of a linguistics area.
Right.
Now NLP develops all sorts of tools for processing text and being able to derive any kind of information you want about the text, such as what are the named entities in the text. The named entities are like Red Hat or Andrew Doherty, things like that. Nouns that refer to specific entities, hence named entities. There's also entity recognition. So there's entity detection, which is just ensuring that you detect entities. There's entity recognition, which is where you are able to resolve them. There's cross-document entity co-reference. So you see like Red Hat, and in another place you see like, I don't know, is there another name for Red Hat? There isn't, is there? Okay, so like Debian GNU Linux and Debian refer to the same thing very often. So entity, that's what, so there's a lot of processing of text. So for instance, if you have a textual document, it's like in the DOM model, you have arbitrary documents that you're looking at. So you can look at arbitrary text documents. What character sets do they have? In each individual character set, use language identification. Which language is this? Is this Russian? Is this English? There's software to do that. And it usually uses like what are called bigrams. Bigrams are where you split a text into every pair of consecutive, into sets of pairs of consecutive words. So like the quick brown fox jumped over a lazy dog would be the quick would be one bigram, and then quick brown would be another bigram, and so forth. And so you can do statistics over the bigrams, and that's one of the common techniques for doing language identification, is just looking at bigrams. You can also do it over the letters, so you can have trigrams of letters. So with quick, you would have QUI, UIC, and ICK would be the three trigrams. So you can have n-grams, which are arbitrary length. You develop arbitrary length. Google has a data set of 5 grams of the web, and that's a very important data set. You can use this for all sorts of things. One common gimmick is generating nonsensical text by just randomly selecting a sequence of trigrams. So the quick brown, you would look for a trigram that started with quick brown, and then you would go on. So that's a fun little thing to do. So does this make sense to everyone so far? Okay. So that's trigrams are really important. And another thing that is very important is tokenization. This is splitting a text into, well, first you have like sentence splitting. So different languages have different rules for how they split sentences. For instance, Chinese, well, I guess in Chinese you have word segmentation because they don't have any spaces. So that's a huge problem, is figuring out what are the individual words. You don't have that problem in other languages. But then you also have like sentence splitting, which is where you extract all the sentences, put them into an array. And tokenization is where you take a look at everything at the sentence and split it into individual tokens, like words, punctuation, and so forth. Contractions are often expanded or have special meanings. And once you tokenize, then it's easy to do what's called pause tagging, part of speech tagging. And so part of speech tagging, did they do diagramming in English class? Where you have the lines and you draw the and modifies in the different subject. And so that, yeah, exactly. So basically, part of speech tagging is just like diagramming a sentence. Only they have a nice format that is works well with textual. Different part of speech taggers have different taggers have different data formats, and there's tons of different taggers out there with all sorts of varying performance. This is one of the basic areas of the NLP, so it's been heavily researched, and there are pretty good tools out there for it. So that's with natural language processing, you're going to want to collect as many of these tools as you can, because any sort of insight that you can derive into the text, any kind of meaning, any kind of relations you can extract is any progress there? Okay. It's okay, I can just present verbally.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay, no big deal. So we'll leave for the second presentation, we'll go in for so this will be an overview talk about the different areas of natural language processing. So maybe could you bring up the presentation for the reference? Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So there are hundreds of different advanced topics within natural language processing, and anything from relation extraction. That's trying to, if you have the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, that would look at what relations are there in the sentence. So you have that jumped over the quick brown. I mean, it's kind of similar to subject predicate, but oftentimes a sentence will have multiple relations within it. For instance, you can say like IBM acquired MySQL, which I hope is true. Did Sun acquire them? Or did Oracle?
Oracle.
No. Yeah, that's no good.
Red Hat acquired JBoss.
So anyway, so corporate mergers and acquisitions and all that stuff is one very prominent area that they do research for relationship extraction. So that's where, like I just said, you can actually extract these. And so in a knowledge-based system, you can have assertions like acquired, and then the named entity IBM and MySQL, and okay, so the definition that Wikipedia gave for natural language processing is that it's a field of computer science concerned with the interactions between computers and human/natural languages. And so a natural language is like English or Russian or French, whereas obviously a computer language is just something with specific grammar that's used to accomplish some task. And so the difference is they do have grammars developed for natural languages, and finding grammars and other tools for a given natural language is a big issue, right? Because there's yeah.
I'm just curious, is this field only limited to the typed word, or is this like voice as well?
Oh, yes, there is. I don't do the voice stuff personally, but yes, there is a lot of research in speech, and that's a big area of natural language processing. But speech is more compute intensive, and it's also harder, and it's also more. They don't have very many free recognizers that are very accurate so for instance, speech recognition, and so forth. So I use text to speech a lot. That's a very useful thing. But as far as actually working on speech, I don't do that so much. But there are so like in speech, there are dialogue systems.
Yeah.
But those actually have a textual backend. So a lot of the problems are transferable through bidirectional speech communication. But there are also a lot of things like prosody recognition, detecting the different, tonalities of a given sentence and so forth, and then using that for emotional, putting emotion into speech and also recognize emotion. So yeah, speech is a huge field, but I'm actually just going to focus on what you can easily program in, say, Perl, or so the FRDCSA has tons of. I've gone out, I've collected, I just looked at the system, and it had 256 different packages that implemented a huge variety of, is this on the net?